Hello and good morning to our listeners from around the world. I want to welcome you to another fantastic edition of This Morning with Soulivity, broadcasting live from our studio right here in Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Westley Johnson, and we have a fantastic hot topics show for you today. But I've got to get to introducing my amazing and beautiful co-hosts, Tami Gaines and Candice Harper. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. How has the week been for both of you? Candy, how's the week been?
I mean, I gotta say, like we were just saying earlier, it just like went by in a snap. But it's been pretty good. I can't complain too much. Getting a lot of work done. I'm about to launch a course, so it's been a lot of work. And it's like I blinked on Sunday and I opened my eyes, and now here we are at Friday morning. So that's what the week is.
Wow. Same here. Tami, what about you?
Yeah, well, first I have to tell you something which is so interesting. Howard Stern mentioned KMET radio on Wednesday.
Wow.
Because
cool.
one of the first female DJs ever was at that station.
Wow.
And she passed away, so he was doing like a little obituary for her.
Wow.
But yeah, isn't that interesting?
Kudos to KMET. Hey, KMET.
So, let me tell you what happened this week, which is super inspiring.
Okay.
So a couple of months ago, the town announced like a giant budget cut to the Board of Ed budget, like $5 million. So they're going to be laying off, like 75. I think they're laying off like 30-ish teachers.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And they're laying off like 52 paraprofessionals.
Wow.
Those are the professionals that support the kids with special needs and kids that need like extra help in the classroom. So the kid, by the way, this happens every year. Like all of our favorite teachers get fired, and then somehow they find the money to hire some of them back. So this has been a crazy cycle since I've been here. So the kids just had enough. So they literally descended on the Board of Ed meeting first. Like 200 kids.
Wow.
To show like, solidarity and like they're against this. And then the next night they went to the town council meeting and spoke. There was like little kids from like she was like 6 years old. She was so cute. She was like, "Please don't fire Mr. Hobbs. He's such a great teacher." Anyway, the kids got increasingly more eloquent as they got older.
Wow.
When they got to the high school kids, this impacts like my daughter more than anybody. Like it impacts rising seniors. One of the ways they decided to cut costs was to shorten the high school schedule. So instead of taking 40 credits, you can only take 35.
Wow.
If you're a rising senior and you're short credits, you don't graduate because of this.
No, you don't.
So, oh my God, they were like fired up. And my daughter's best friend spoke. He was amazing. So anyway, they passed the bill anyway. And all the students walked out at 9:00 yesterday morning.
Wow.
Everybody had on red. They organized a walkout. And my daughter's like, "You coming?" I was like, "Damn straight, I'm coming." So, and then they marched. I mean, it was all over the news yesterday.
Oh my God.
It's like 1,000 students walking down like my street to the Board of Ed, where they literally stood outside and screamed for an hour and a half.
Why am I thinking of Attica?
By the way, that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like. Except they were orderly. Like, shame on adults. Those guys had marshals at the gates. They were crystal clear when they were like, "We're gonna go down Park Street. We're gonna make a right on Church Street." Like it was so specific, and they had marshals, like kids, that were making sure like everybody was behaved and doing the right. It was amazing. I posted on my Facebook some pictures.
Not just out of the mouth of babes, out of the actions of babes. I mean,
yes, exactly.
Wow. That's
anyway,
fantastic.
I was on cloud 9 all day yesterday. I was like, you know what? I just feel like there's hope. It's not as grim as we think it is.
I'm geeked now. I'm like,
oh my God.
Yeah, that's hot. That's hot. Wow. Okay. Well, shoot. Anyway, maybe we make a topic out of that one day, because I would like to hear more about everything that was happening You know how big I am on education.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen. Again, that's our official hot topic. First hot topic. Everybody, this is our Hot Topic Friday. We've got stories from around the globe we're going to discuss. Just want to remind everybody, listen, that as you're listening, we want to know where you're from. So just post in the chat, or if you have a question, a comment, or even, something that you want to say or thought, just post it into our chat and we'll bring you into this conversation today. Want to start out with our first story. This is so funny. Our first story comes from the Big Apple with a royal twist, which has gone viral across social media. The HuffPost, amongst many, reported Wednesday that Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and her mother, Doria Raglan, escaped a near catastrophic car chase. And I'm using air quotes, everybody, so that you understand. By the paparazzi on Tuesday, according to a spokesperson for the couple. This relentless pursuit, lasting over 2 hours, resulted in multiple near collisions involving other drivers on the road, pedestrians, and 2 NYPD officers, the spokesperson said. While being a public figure comes with a level of interest from the public, it should never come at the cost of anyone's safety. While there were various additional reporting on whether or not the chase was a high-speed one, many outlets did confirm that the couple was chased by the media. And by the way, today is their 5th wedding anniversary. Yeah, interesting, right? Did you guys hear about that chase and all that?
Not at all.
Yep, we're here.
Any any thoughts about this? I mean, it was like a mess on Thursday because everybody was like, was it really a chase? Was it not a chase?
I thought the whole thing was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know what? It's 5 years of attention-seeking behavior. But the funniest thing about that was the reporting. Unless you live in New York, you wouldn't know any of this was wrong. But they said they were going 100 miles an hour through the streets of New York. I'm like, you can't go 4 miles an hour through the streets
No,
of New
you
York.
can't.
No, I don't care who you are. So it was when I heard this story, I was like, this is such a major exaggeration. But the funniest thing of all was they got the cab driver on the news that night.
Like,
and they were like, was it as bad as they said? He was like, not so much. Not so much.
She said, they were around.
Nobody was in danger.
They said that they were being chased by paparazzi, but on like the e-scooters.
That's so ridiculous. They said, like, this might be true. They said when they got to a red light, like they would get mobbed by paparazzi. I think that's possible.
I can believe that. Then I can believe that.
High-speed chase. I was like, this is not your mother's. This is not your mother's, like, press.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even call it a chase. I think that if the spokesperson had said that it was like severe harassment, like over 2 hours as they were driving, then it might have been. But that whole, like, it was a chase, like something like Dukes of Hazzard, get it? Dukes of Hazzard.
It wasn't even a chase either. Like, the cab driver's like, he said it wasn't 2 hours. Like, they were going from one place to the hotel, which was like 20 minutes.
Right.
And then they landed at the police station.
Right.
Well, do you think that it's more like the media's loose interpretation, or that they were actually, because you mentioned, Tami, about the possibility of them being attention seeking. Here's the thing. I'm a little biased because I started reading Prince Harry's autobiography.
Yeah.
And, and I've always loved Meghan Markle ever since she sort of came onto the scene. I do really like her. But I'm wondering if this is a totally media manipulated thing.
No way. They put out their own press release.
They did. And they said they were chased?
They said we were chased at high speeds through the city, through New York City, and they put out their own press release.
Yeah.
And by the way, I do really like Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
she's. I used to watch her on Suits. I thought she was like super, like
Oh, I love that
beautiful
show. Oh.
and smart.
Mm.
And Charles, I sort of admire him for breaking from the monarchy. I think it was a mistake long term, but I do. That takes a lot of courage. So I
Yeah.
don't dislike them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do think they're running out of ideas. They did that thing with Oprah Winfrey. They, Prince
Dang.
Harry put that book
Dang,
out.
Tabby.
I
Yeah.
think they were having dinner like, damn,
Dang.
what can we do next? We need our next marketing thing. I know, a high speed chase through New York City.
Yeah, we'll blow this up. I think, I think I'm right. I'm probably middle of the road between both of you. I think that one, they're playing the game,
Mm.
right? Um, um, they understand how the media is going to react to their words. And so when a spokesperson crafts a statement, you better know that both of them read it and approved it before it went
Sure.
out,
Sure.
right? And so they know the words that they choose within that to incite, whatever it is to go viral and for them to get, some sort of publicity from it is part of the game.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, I know without a doubt that they got mobbed, and they were mobbed as they were going slowly through New York.
Yeah.
As they were in New York City
It's
traffic.
like slowly,
It's
I
crazy.
mean,
Right.
it's like especially that time of day.
No,
Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
get
Oh,
out of
yeah, if it
here.
was
On.
daytime at all. But now I wonder too, though, like you're right. They do have to approve everything that's released, I would imagine. But it's like when you read his autobiography, the way that he was emotionally affected by, his mother's death, it's
Mhm.
it's so real. Like I wonder if
Yeah.
there's a level of just paranoia around it as well. Because
I
he's
would
very paranoid around
that's
something
fair.
happening. Huh?
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
I
Yeah.
fair.
think that's fair. I think
I,
He
that's fair.
he's
I d-
very like high alert when around something happening to Meghan, and then for himself as well. Like I feel like often children of parents, if a parent dies, if it's of cancer or a car accident or whatever, you can't help but take on, I forget, there's a psychological name for it,
Mhm.
where you take on a fear that it's actually going to happen to you.
Mm,
Right? Because
mm.
you're your parent's child, even if it's an unreasonable fear. Like, I wonder how much of it is influenced by just pure paranoia. Like, this is going to happen to us. Oh my gosh, they're mobbing us. How fast are we going? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but I think he's like never forgiven his family for
It
what happened to his
His
mom.
well,
mom, absolutely.
Like
well,
they barely,
it'd be hard for me to
like it
do
was.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. And I think he's just finally like sick of it. Like sick of
Yeah.
it all. Like oh, by the way, I forgot their Netflix special. That was on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, it's sad. It is unresolved pain.
Yeah.
Um, and Meghan Markle should be. I mean, she wasn't like an A-list star, but she's been like that show was on TV for like I don't know
8
3 years,
years?
4 years. Oh, well, it
No,
was.
no, it was on for a lot
So
because I remember from the beginning. I
so
was
wasn't
there.
she? Isn't she used to like media attention?
She said in that one special with Oprah that she was able, like, she was in Toronto. I think that's where it was shot.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And that she could walk home every day and nobody would know who she is. And then and go to the grocery store and all that. And then that all changed once it got out that she was dating Prince Harry, and
Hmm.
Mm.
that she would leave the set and they were there. And that it went from that to them trying to film her while she's on set,
Mm.
and so I think, I think that again, I think both of you have important points. I can't disagree with either one of you because it's so complex.
Yeah.
And then I look at like where they live today. They're in, a
California.
part of California that is, where you can buy property that where you can't see them, you can't get on it,
Mhm.
without being noticed. It's not quote unquote remote, but it is spacious, right? And you compare that to New York, which is like people on top of people on top of people. It's a
Mhm.
completely different environment. And so you compound that with the history I mean, you
Oh,
wake
I
up
see
one
what you're saying.
yeah,
I see
you
what you're
wake
saying.
up one morning and your dad comes down, or maybe not even your dad, maybe your secretary, comes down, and you're what, 11 years old when he
Mhm.
found out, and they
Mhm.
say your mother's gone. And it's
Mhm.
like, well, what happened? Well, the paparazzi chased her and she ended up crashing and getting killed. That's a pretty big thing. I
Mhm.
mean, it looks like his happiest days were when he was in Africa,
Yeah,
away
yeah.
from
Yeah,
He talks about that in
everybody.
the book.
I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, when I get chased by paparazzi, what's happening, grocery store, school drop off, softball games, walking the dog, I just kind of decide these people are just doing their jobs. Like, ask me what you want. What do you want to know? What do you want to
It's your girl.
know?
On that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the latest hot topic with actress and humanitarian Angelina Jolie. We'll be right back.
6 years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit soulivity.com now.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. It's a Hot Topics Friday. I have my beautiful co-host Tami Gaines and Candice Harper. And we just talked about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and their wild wind chase in New York. But let's move on, shall we? This next story comes from the retail world with actress and humanitarian Angelina Jolie announcing the launch of Atelier Jolie, a new fashion-focused business venture on Wednesday. Atelier Jolie will be a fashion brand that sees consumers step into the role of designer. Interesting. Allowing them to partner with a global network of tailors, pattern makers, artisans, and produce garments. The business purpose is to democratize the fashion industry by allowing consumers access to emerging designers and artisans, the company's mission statement said. She says, I am building a place for creative people to collaborate with a skilled and diverse family of tailors and artisans from around the world. Really interesting concept, huh, Tami?
Yeah, listen, a fun fact. I had a chance to meet her once.
Oh
My
man.
my
Oh wow, that's
my
cool.
boxing trainer was her bodyguard for years.
What? Are
So
you
yeah,
serious?
she was filming a movie in New York. He's like, "Hey, do you want to like swing by and meet Angelina?" I was like, "Yes, please."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was a weird echo right there.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
mm-hmm.
I met her and she was like, "What do you?" I was coming from work, so I was like dressed up, and she was like, "What do you do?" And I told her that at that point we purchased big brands. We
Mm-hmm.
purchased small brands from big companies and turned them around and sold them again. It was like turnaround marketing. She ended up asking me a bunch of questions. Like she was legitimately like, talk to me about that. Like, how do you know what brands to buy? Like she was even at that point, like
Wow.
before this article, like she clearly had like some business acumen or some
Mm-hmm.
interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't surprised. And I think she's tapped into the creator world that we live in right now. Like
Wow.
everything's driven by creators, whether it's this podcast
Mm-hmm.
or people on Etsy. Like, DIY is huge. So I think she's very dialed in, and I also think she's tapped into an area that is it's fragmented and hard to get in, and
Yeah.
I just love that she's encouraging people to go design your own style.
Exactly. She says she says that the fashion house will have a social justice bent as well.
Mhm.
She hopes to place refugees in apprenticeship positions as well as bolster support for underappreciated groups.
Mhm.
I mean, how cool is that? What are you thinking about this, Candy?
Well, I mean, I'm a fan. I love what you're saying about her, Tami, because I think from my perspective of what her fame has been is she actually uses her celebrity in a way that makes it valuable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. She doesn't
right.
doesn't
Right?
squander it.
And she doesn't just squander it. You can tell that she actually has a level of reverence for it just because she makes it about what she can do for her, her communities, other people's communities, and how she has a global reach. She takes advantage of that and helps people with it.
Right,
So I've always loved her. Like I've always been a big fan, not just because she's beautiful, she's a beautiful
right,
actress, but because, I feel like that's been her brand. Like I
right.
actually care about the world.
I feel
Absolutely.
I feel bad for her when everybody was making fun of her for adopting all those kids.
Yeah.
And all those different it's like, why would you make fun of somebody who is actually putting their money where their mouth is?
Right?
Absolutely. And she got the money to raise the kids. And she's
Right?
got the
Yeah,
love to
exactly.
raise the kids. So
Right.
leave her alone. Let her
Yeah.
do her life. Now, if you broke and you got 8 kids, now
You need to
I'm just
consider things.
saying.
Now you are the butt of many jokes.
Just saying.
But not
But she's
Angie.
doing with her wealth what, we often criticize people who are very wealthy or who have celebrity. I mean, she's doing with it what, someone who actually cares would do with it. Like
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we
if
just
you
talked
had,
about
unlimited funding.
Mhm.
and you would also do as much good in the world as you could. Um,
Yeah.
like Candy, you just said you were talking about Prince Harry was so happy in Africa. He was truly happy and relaxed
Yeah.
in Africa, and I don't think it was just about like having the space. I think he was really happy doing
Doing
that
work.
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 Yeah. Making
Exactly.
a difference, meaning something, making meaning out of his life.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's funny because one of my mentors said that, a lot of people say you live well and do good.
Mhm.
I think that if you live your life once you've kind of made a little bit of money and you start dedicating your life to doing good, it just adds to you living well as well. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Mhm.
remember I was overseas and there was and it hasn't aired here, which is weird, but there was a piece on Angelina Jolie bringing light to the battered and abused women that were part of the Bosnian conflict.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And she was there on the ground, walking through, talking to women that, in the history and that kind of thing. And I was like, that's how you freaking use your celebrity. And this was years and years and years and years ago. I mean, she had some notoriety, but she wasn't even as big as she is today.
Mm.
And I
You
was
know,
like,
I
mhm.
love that. I got to tell you something. She is super short.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
I
like
did not know. I
She
thought
looks
she
so
was
tall.
smaller.
she's super short. I think she's like my height. She might have been like 5'5" or 5'4". Like
Mhm.
she's
Yeah.
very tiny. And
Mhm.
when this was so stupid. When Ralph introduced me to her, I was like,
Mhm.
"Wow, you're super." I was like, "You are super short."
What did
And
she
she just
say?
started laughing. She was like, "I get that reaction all the time."
Because she looks
Because
tall.
she looks big. She does those action movies and
Yeah, and
she was lower cropped.
that's
But the
that
cool
camera angle,
but the cool thing is, I was
What?
like, "You are small but mighty." Because
Oh.
that's why why I like her. Like she is using her wealth the right way. She's like showing women that size doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
she's just about like righting the wrongs.
Wow.
Um,
That's cool.
yeah.
I'm glad you met her. I would like to meet her one day.
Right?
We're not in the hip like Tammy
Oh
is,
no, I think Ralph. No, it was only listen. I knew the chick's bodyguard. That is not in the know. We weren't having dinner together.
You wanna go get some McDonald's?
No, no. She was like, anyway, got to get back to work.
Right.
Oh man, listen, we've got more hot topics for you today. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about this new NIH study that talks about healthcare inequities and how it's affecting our economy. So we'll be right back with more of This Morning with Soulivity.
Have you ever asked the question, If I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We've got a Hot Topic Friday that's going on here with stories from around the globe. This next story is really close to my heart. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot over the last few months, and that is how does racism and systematic injustice kind of affect our nation from an economic standpoint, like putting your money where your mouth is. And there was a new study that came out of the nation's capital here in Washington, D.C., which research shows that the economic burden of health disparities in the United States remains unacceptably high. The study, founded by the National Institute of Minority Health and Health Disparities, part of the National Institute of Health, revealed that in 2018, racial and ethnic health disparities cost the United States economy $451 billion, a 41% increase from the previous estimate of $320 billion in 2014. The study also finds that the total burden of education-related health disparities for persons with less than a college degree in 2018 reached $978 billion, about 2 times greater than the annual growth rate of the U.S. economy in 2018. Any reactions from any one of you?
I mean, I always say that, when it comes to racism and discrimination, like, those who espouse to it just don't understand how much it affects everyone. Like you think that you can set up a system that discriminates and actually escape any sort of impact.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not possible. Like, we're a society.
Exactly. Boom.
We're a society. So, if some of us are suffering, all of us are suffering.
But really, do you believe that, Candy?
I do. I really do. Because
I think really, really, really rich people are suffering because there's inequity.
I think really rich people are suffering as well because there's inequity, because I think it's not just about how much you have. Now, you may have an easier life in that you get what you need survival-wise, right? But if what you're doing is living the paranoia of not only having to protect your wealth, continuing to build your wealth, and that's your focus of your life, are you really living a full life? Are you really? And I know people are out there like, yeah, but they're so rich. They're traveling the world. They're doing all these things, which is fantastic.
Right.
But if you have to be in a state of constantly keeping someone else down, you as a human being, what's happening with your soul is not living a full life.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's a perspective.
Their children still commit suicide. They still go through divorce. They still are at risk at being, hurt, killed. I mean, look at Ivana Trump.
Well,
do you know what I mean? Like, they still have unrest in their soul, even if they have all the money in the world.
But you would hope that they do.
I would hope that they have unrest in their soul.
No, you would hope that they actually have a soul.
I
mean, I can tell you, some people really just don't give a crap, and that's why nothing's getting fixed or solved.
Yeah,
because
I don't know if it's that they don't give a crap. I think that we're all at different levels of our existence as far as our growth in the world, right? So I think that some people don't have the emotional maturity, and some people don't have a sense of community because they're where they are in their energetic journey. And I know this may sound very woo-woo, but I think it's not that they don't have a soul, it's that they don't understand that, like I said, as a society, if anyone's hurting, they are hurting. So they don't understand, why did my kid get on drugs and kill himself? I have all the money in the world and all the riches in the world. Why did that thing happen? Because I'm putting things in the world that cause that kind of energetic return. I'm not saying it's their fault, when they have, it's no one's fault when tragedies befall that we didn't actually set ourselves up for, but we do get what we put out. So karmically, no one gets away from karma. Right. No one escapes karma.
Right. But it feels like not everybody believes in karma. Not everybody is self-aware. Not everybody is into this conversation. And I'll just give you an example. When I said not everybody has a soul, I was working at a hospital, and part of my job was to, I was responsible for internal and external, happiness. So I was in the emergency room, which of course was filled with Black people because this was, it's a city, it's a city hospital, public hospital. So while I was there, an altercation broke out. This doctor shoved me into a closet.
What?
And said, "Stay here until I come get you." But anyway, it turned out that there was a crazy shooting in the emergency room. And we'd been asking corporate for money to install more security so that our doctors and nurses could be safe and our patients could be safe. They weren't willing to come up with, if you knew how much they were making overall, it was like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
They were like, "Nah, we'll figure that out." And there was subsequent, violence in the emergency room. And I just remember thinking, I was sitting with the CEO of the hospital. I was like, how do they not sacrifice something to give them money to protect this community? And he was like, they just don't care. It's literally not about the money. They had the money. They just didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a perception, right? So it's easy to take that perception, and it's kind of simplifies how people operate. It's like, what do they prioritize? Is it that they just don't care, or is it that wherever their priorities are, we don't have a perspective on that? And that's not to excuse it. I'm not saying, oh, it's okay for people to treat people that way because they don't know.
Well, their priority is their stock prices. The priority is their stock price.
Maybe that's what it is, because in their mind, if the stock price is up and we're making enough money, I can make sure my children are okay. Whatever. We could try to speculate on what people's motivations are for caring about what they care about. But when we write it off as people are soulless and there are people out there that really just don't give a damn, what we set ourselves up for is a lack of hope. And as soon as we start to lose hope, then we become the people that don't care.
Right. And then we fall into despair. That's the next piece. I'll say this, that I think that, again, this is funny how I'm saying this. I think both of you have great points here, and that there are people that quote unquote don't care. That doesn't change the actual fact that what you're saying is true, that there is karma. Karma doesn't care whether or not you believe it or not. It doesn't care.
That's why I love karma.
Exactly. It does not care. And so, the people, I'll give you a great example. If you were talking about these people who are wealthy and, they've got a lot of money, but they're complaining about, interest rates, or they're complaining about, the dividends that didn't come in from the companies that they do business with. Well, if you have a deficit of almost $1 trillion, which is 2 times the annual growth rate, what happens to your dividends in terms of stock prices, right? If the economy is doing well and the growth is up, guess what happens to your stock price? It also goes up, and you actually make more money. So if it's a money thing, right? Or they're more concerned about the future with their kids and them having enough money and that kind of thing, even though they have money and they want more, then ending this is actually in your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So, oh, sorry.
you know, just to a different perspective on it. I think that America still has to go through this whole truth and reconciliation around this, and that it's got to just be done, and then those folks who may be on the fence see the positive effect, and they go, oh, okay, this is cool.
I could tell. I mean, I started a pre-K a while ago, and I had to have a board of directors, and so I was always out talking to really wealthy people about the importance of early childhood education.
Right.
And was very successful in getting some extraordinarily wealthy people. They have buildings named after them, and they have schools named after them. And we sat down, and they were like, "Talk to us." I was like, "When Black kids don't go to pre-K, they have a 70% more likely chance of landing in the system somehow."
Right.
That was enough. They wrote the check. There was other
go.
people that we talked to that were like, nah, I don't think so. Like, not for me.
Well,
And that's where that was a while ago, but that's where my perception is. And I'm back on another board that's focused on getting high school kids into college, like brown kids. And we're about to embark on the same thing. So I do think fundamentally, Candy, I love what you're saying, and I totally get it. But sometimes it's just right in your face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, wow, I'm just looking at their faces. I'm like, whoa, they're really disinterested.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not disagreeing with that, because I
And
think,
by the way, I know there could be other reasons, but fundamentally, like, they could have like thrown us a bone. Like, I'll give you $100.
yeah, but do you see how, Tami, it's always from our own perspective, right? So in my perspective, I know what I prioritize, right? So I could be giving someone an FU is something they want from me, because I'm prioritizing something else, and the way I see it is what's important to me is more important to me, and I'm not worried about what's important to you. And I'm not saying that to say that it's okay for people to neglect other people. Like, if you have it to give, it's not okay to just be like, I don't care, I'm not going to do it. But what we have to be really aware of is that we, like, the way that we perceive people, the way that we perceive how people use their wealth, or, like we were talking about with Angelina Jolie, use their celebrity, the way that we perceive it only has one dimension.
Right.
Right. And I'm not saying that to even argue that there aren't people who don't care, but it's not that they don't care and don't have a soul. It's that what they're looking at as important is completely different than what we think they should be looking at that's important.
Yes.
And if we're not willing to open up to that, everyone has their own set of perspective and priority and all of that, if we're not willing to open up to that, then it becomes, we are disenfranchised and no one's ever going to help. Right. Or that it's hopeless because people can't figure out that people should care about other people. Like that narrative kind of puts us all in the same place.
I'm not saying I'm hopeless, but to bring it back to bring this all the way back to where we started, the disparity is not going to be addressed until it's really important.
Right.
For some
Agreed.
for some reason beyond,
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. But here's the thing. You can't get people to address it and to care about it unless you get into what they care about, so that you open them up to that. And I'm not saying it's, the responsibility of people who are disenfranchised to change the minds of those who are not. But if people can't find their emotional connection to something, then they won't care about it. They know what they're emotionally connected to. But still, they will suffer whatever consequences from disenfranchising others. I mean, none of us gets away with it.
Wow, I love this conversation, but I have another great topic that is.
He's like, anyway.
No,
anyway, moving right along.
Moving right along. Forget all this systematic racism and all that. That's small talk.
That's not that interesting.
Well, we're going to move into something that I think that both of you will appreciate and literally love. It is called Love on the Trail. The Camino de Santiago is the ironing board of the stress of life, a way to find oneself and direction in life through walking day after day across the Iberian Peninsula. However, an American and a Dane didn't find themselves on a hike across the famous European pilgrimage trail. They found each other. How cool is that? Um, Kjartan Bergquist from Denmark and American Lonnie Philbeck Lidsmeyer both experienced the sort of listlessness that causes one to buy a backpack, throw an assortment of worldly objects inside, and travel the world. In their case, both to Spain to hike the 500-mile-long Camino de Santiago. After several chance meetings, the two crossed paths again in the Camino inside Burgos, and they thought that maybe they explore the city the next day, which they did after a sleepless night for Kjartan, who's the guy, and a coffee that morning. As it turned out, they and a Canadian named Liz chose the latter option. After reaching Santiago, the pair decided that sharing contact info or even agreeing to a long-term relationship, none of it seemed even remotely acceptable. So Kjartan asked Lonnie then and there in the streets of Santiago if she would be his wife. This story happened 10 years ago. Now Lonnie and Kjartan live in Denmark, and she works as an education consultant while raising 3 bilingual children.
Aw.
Don't you just love?
I was laughing.
I know you.
When you first of all, that was so
exciting and
super sweet. But when you
new.
were like, that was 10 years ago, and I thought you were gonna say, and now they're not together anymore.
Nah, you come on. Now you know I was gonna say that. Womp womp womp. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
So are you either of you familiar with the Camino de Santiago? The
No.
walk?
No.
So a few years ago, I did a dual part interview with a person that actually did the walk and then started tours. And basically there's several different places that you can start, but the traditional one is in Portugal. And you fly into Portugal and you get yourself set. And then if you have bags or whatever, they ship your bags ahead of you while you have a backpack and all the other necessities that you need to walk. And it's literally like a pilgrimage. And you walk this walk. It's 500 miles in total. You don't do it all in one day. You do several stops, as many stops as you want. But you do this walk. And from what she has said is like, it's one of those things where a lot of times you're out there like on your own, but it's safe and that kind of thing. But you're just out in you're in your thoughts, and that you come to a lot of awarenesses and a lot of resolutions around your life. And it is a truly spiritual experience in that when you reach Camino de Santiago, which is at the northern tip of Spain, you reach this beautiful church and you give thanks and prayers for reaching there safely. And the idea is that your life is forever changed. So I picked this particular one because it's like, wow, these two hikers were on this pilgrimage for their souls, and then they found each other, and then they found happiness and love. And so it's like, wow, that's really, really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a core value matching, right? Obviously, they were both.
Yeah.
out
And I
there.
mean, 10 years after, they've been married for 10 years and they have 3 children.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's such a great metaphor for relationships in general.
Right.
You know, the fact that like when you're committed to a relationship, it is a pilgrimage because you have to walk together through, good times and bad times and tragedy and happy times and, ups, hills and valleys.
Right.
So I think it's a very interesting, it's an interesting metaphor. I was dating this guy a while ago, and we decided to do this leadership boot camp, which was crazy. I mean, it was insane. We were up every day at like 5 a.m. And we we went through like warrior training. Like some dude jumped out of the bush and tackled me, and I had to defend myself.
Damn.
Oh
We
my
lugged
God.
like we lugged a 30-pound cooler full of our food up. I think that was like 13 miles to the top of this mountain where we had to then go
Mm,
cook.
Dun, dun, dun,
But I will tell
dun,
you what,
dun,
wow.
when I
dun,
wanted to quit,
dun.
he encouraged me. And when he was like, I
Mm,
got to sit down, I'm like, we're almost there. Like that was,
yeah.
Wow.
we didn't end up together, but we're still very good friends. But that was like a
Yeah.
strengthening experience. Like it was amazing. Like through the rain, like it rained, there was mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I understand like this walk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do see how it could bring people together so quickly.
Yeah. I mean, they were just, I
Yeah.
mean, I could totally see them because I think Burger's just not even halfway there.
Mm,
I could see, I mean, you're 250 miles or 300 miles to go, and you're there alone with this person.
mm.
You,
But you're also like what Tammy was describing, you're forming true
absolutely.
partnership, right? Like
Absolutely.
we're surviving, we're having to make it, we're having like I used to when I was a matchmaker, used to send people on a date to like an escape room because and I know
You're
that
like, if
sounds
they can get
such
out of
a
here, they
smaller
can get out of
scale,
anything.
right? But it was like, on such a smaller scale. It's like when you put two people together and rather than having to sit across from each other and just, try to figure each other out, actually raise the stakes just a little
Mhm.
bit. And then to raise the stakes to the height of that walk. Like you really get to see if you can partner with this person, if you can have a true partnership, right?
It is. I am a fan of that. Like I'm a
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
fan. So we I have a tenuous relationship with my oldest daughter. Um
Mm,
and during the pandemic, she freaked. Like she wouldn't leave her house, she wouldn't go anywhere. And I finally got her like I said, let's go for a bike ride. And we went down to the
mm,
beach where there is a 7-mile ride, like along the water.
Mhm.
mhm.
Anyway, like 2 miles in, I was like, "Oh, damn. Why did I why did I even suggest this?" But my 2 daughters and
Mm,
I did it. Like, it ended up being 14 miles, and it was hard, and we were tired, and we ran out of
mm,
water. But it was also beautiful. Like, it was amazing.
mm.
And when we got back,
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
we were better. We weren't great, but we were
Yeah.
definitely better.
Wow. Well, on that note, I mean, our hot topics are over. We'll have to do more next week.
Wow.
So thanks, lady, for your thoughts and and beautiful jokes. Y'all got jokes today. It was wonderful.
Paparazzi jokes.
Exactly. As we were chased slowly through New York. Anyway, anyway, listen. I know, Candy, you've got some great things that are happening with Candice Harper Love Coach .com, and you've got this great. You're talking about you're going to be doing some classes soon.
Yeah, so I'm doing a soft
Great.
launch Monday and then official launch on the 29th of my course, A Love Life That Loves You Back. And
Mhm.
so in this course, I support women of color in having loving relationships. So we're going to heal the relationship with mom and reclaim our divine feminine and start our love lives over from a clean slate in this course. And soft launch is like I said, the 22nd. Go to my page, go to work with me, and you can hit the button and learn more about it and sign up for it, get registered.
Excellent. Thank you so
Nice.
much.
Yeah.
And Tammy got another Tammy's Table coming up on Monday.
Yeah.
What's happening on Monday?
So I mentioned once before, once a month, I try and pick a topic that directly supports families that have kids with special needs.
Mm-hmm.
So this is that Monday. So I'm gonna have Sharon on, my
Oh, love it,
partner.
Sharon.
Sharon's gonna be on. We're two moms that are in the thick of it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we always have an interesting conversation that could benefit families. So I'm
And-
excited about that for Monday.
oh man, this is gonna be great. I just love her. She's amazing. She's amazing.
She's a good people.
Well, listen, everybody. We're at the end of our show today. We hope that you enjoyed all the topics, and of course, the beautiful to host here, Tami and Candy, who always have some amazing and wonderful things to say about life and living. I'm a student of theirs. Remind you, please follow us on social media and join our mailing list. You can have access to exclusive content. We will be starting our giveaways again soon. So if you are part of that mailing list, you can have a chance to win. Man, I love these shows. We talk about so many wonderful things, but it's time for us to say adieu. On behalf of all of us here at Soulivity, I want to say thanks for joining us again for another episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast right here at soulivity.com and on our social media. Or you can listen Thursday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on KMET 1490 AM for all of you on the West Coast. Ladies, any final thoughts before we get out of here? Tami, real quick.
No, thank you for another great show. I'm wishing everybody a fantastic week until we talk to you again.
Hey, I love it. Candy?
Yeah, I mean, just, love for everybody and everybody.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I'm sure it's powerful.
I know it's powerful. It's got to be powerful. But listen, everybody, we're going to get out of here. Thanks again for... Oh, there she is. Come on, Candy. Come on now.
You're part of the greater good. And
there she is.
Next week.
Go for it. Candy. Oh, we're losing her.
Come back.
I know. It's okay. No, go for it. You got like 30 seconds. Go for it.
Hello.
Uh-oh.
Love to everybody. Remember, you're part of the greater good. Did you lose me again?
Stop torturing Candy.
I know. It's not
torture.
I'm sorry. Oh, man.
Right.
Well,
I think this is not happening. I keep cutting out.
I know. It's like whoop, whoop, whoop. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you again on for another edition of This Morning with Soulivity. Keep on having real conversations that empower with passion, purpose, and have a high quality life today. See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.